I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
You hear that music there?
Hey!
People have been messing that music a little bit.
Shout out to that old school vibe, that rough and rugged, that I remember the time, you know? Sometimes you need that, and it's funny from like a nostalgia standpoint, right? For all the OG podcast people, for all the OG original YouTube crowd before we were going live all the time, right? Because I'm sure the podcast people have caught on now. They figured out, oh, they do the shows live. That's why we had a little bit of audio stuff going on, or some of the content might seem a little different just on how it was geared up. Yeah, we've been going live. Well, today, you know, we had to change it up a little. We had to give it that old school feel. Sometimes you got to call the game when they counter rain. But for us, we said we're not calling the game. We just going to move the game inside. That's what we did. So that's why we're not live today. But as a whole, man, we will hopefully be back live very, very soon. But back to this whole OG vibe, man. It's just
well, I forgot to say what's up, bro. I usually say what's up, bro.
Man.
What's up, dude?
They got on you last time. They was like, yo, Moats usually has like all the energy, and then Deke is just, what's up? What's up, bro? So, you know, it's like that. But, man, either way, I like the OG vibe today. It's good. And like I said, it goes on my shirt. I got my Sailor Moon shirt on right here from my 80s babies, man. It's one of our like favorite cartoons growing up, baby. So it was just a cool little vibe, man, that we had to go OG like this, man. So shout out to that.
Yeah. Stuff happens.
Hey, man.
You got to call the audible sometimes.
Shoot, man. What would Ben do? You feel me?
Call the audibles.
Exactly.
He drop the plays on the football.
Exactly.
Like all the receivers have been saying.
It's that simple.
That's what we're doing.
Even corroborated by Marlon Humphrey. Wait, we know this is what he does. Like, I like it. Let's get it. How was your weekend, though, man? You was good?
Yeah, solid. I'm just trying to think what I did. We ask each other that all the time. How many times we come in on Monday?
I know,
I'm just
right?
like, what did I do? I golfed a little bit. Had some family over from out of town.
Yeah.
Opened up the pool.
Ooh, okay.
So yeah, good weekend.
I like it, man.
Good weekend. How about you?
Man, it was good. Had to work. You know, I had my live show this weekend, man. So
you
that
said
was
it was
dope.
awesome, though.
It was, bro. It was a vibe. I forgot how much fun I have when I do the solos. Like, you know, I love when we do ours together. But sometimes when you're on the solo, you could just get all the way. I could just say whatever I want all the way.
Sure.
And no one.
Am I holding you back a little bit?
No. Like sometimes I need that rebuttal. Sometimes I need you to like, hey, but what about this? Sure. Whereas when I get up there by myself, hey man,
you give your takes.
Hey, listen, it's a thin line between, you know, being Luke Skywalker and turning into Darth Vader. It's a thin line. You know, once I used to be Anakin. When I was on the solo, I turned into Darth for a little bit, man. So yeah, I enjoy that. And shout out to the callers, man, that did call, man. Some of these people have actually been tuning into the podcast. I thought that was super dope. You know, just hearing some of the calls, and they're like, yo, man, shout out to Moats and Deke. Shout out to Deke. Shout out. I'm like, yo, all right. I respect it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, man, it was a good little vibe. And then what else did I do? Man, watch the basketball.
Watch it.
Because we had NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. So tuned into those games, and yeah. I mean, I guess we could start. Which one to start? We'll start NHL, right? Because that was Saturday, right? Right as soon as I finished my show, that's when the Pens started playing. And yeah, about that game. I enjoyed the first period. First period was good. It was cool.
0-0, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was a nice first period, man. Yeah. Second period, got a little dicey. Yeah. Third period, what was that, the second period or the third period where they scored like, I feel like they scored like back to back in like 20 seconds. It was like ridiculous how quickly they scored.
Yeah, it was 4-0, and
it just happened
got a
so
goal
quick,
with
bro.
like 3 minutes left or something. You're like, okay, at least we got something on the board. Like, I was actually excited about that goal.
I'm not gonna lie, when we scored, we almost scored again right after that. And I was like, whoa, I thought we was gonna have a chance, and it was like, nah.
I was just happy to see something go through the net. At least you got like, okay, they're not for some reason invincible at this point. Like, the gods aren't completely in their favor. We're going to have a chance in game 5. We're going to be completely fine because we are the better team. That's what I've talked about, or at least I've thought. I actually think last game, I don't think they played good, but they did get unlucky.
But the thing to me that I need to know if this is going to be, just a one-off, or if this is something to actually look into. Something happened in game 4 that we hadn't seen since game 1. Who was in goalie? Who was in net? So the 2 games that we've won, it was Varlamov in net. That's the guy that we've been taking advantage of.
Game 2 and game 3.
Yeah, but game 1 and obviously game 4,
he let up some bad goals too.
Game 1 and game 4, they went back to Sorokin. That's the younger guy. That's the guy who, even during the regular season, when we've had some issues, he was the guy that's been in net. And the problem had been, Barry Trotz is just kind of like, man, Varlamov is our guy. He's the one who's been super productive. He's gotten us here. We wouldn't be here without him. We're going to ride that wave. So we're like, shoot, if you going to keep him in there, especially after how game 1 went and we saw Sorokin still be productive enough to get the dub, it's like, well, if you want to go back to that dude, cool. We're going to take advantage of it. And we did. But now to see them go back here and then to see us lose again, I'm just like, all right. And it wasn't like we lost in like some shootout, some 5-4 showdown, some
the
3
offense couldn't do shit.
Yeah, so that to me, that's why I was kind of like, all right, is it really this kid? Like, is this guy that kind of X factor thing going on right now, or is it just he just happens to come in at the right moment, right time, right day? We had an off day, you happen to be in that, and now we build this up a little bit more.
That's a fair point. People in the comments for some of my React vids have said the coach has been really gun-ho on doing 50-50 splits on these goalie rotations.
Yeah.
But to your point, if he's actually trying to be smart about this, it seems like you just got to go with this dude that they got the 2 wins on.
Absolutely. Like we talked about, this would have been right after game 1 when Barry Trotz had said that Varlamov was going to come back and get the start at net. And we're just like, you just saw what Sorokin did to us. Like, I mean, even though it was a little bit of a higher scoring game, obviously went to overtime, like it was a little bit of a challenge right there. And then we saw how drastically different it was once they took him out of net. So it was just like, man, I mean, how stubborn are you going to be about this 50-50 split? These guys, I want him to play this many, this guy to play this many versus he's the hot hand, roll with the hot hand. That to me was, like I said, just surprising. Like, dude, what are you doing here?
Did they make an announcement for the goalie tonight?
Yeah, they already did. For
who is it?
They're going with the young boy, Sorokin.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then that answers the question. Now, where we got screwed, though, we basically scored on ourselves twice.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Letang bumps the Islander into Jari.
For a fact we did, man.
Which he ends up letting in the goal. And then the other one was when it literally just went off Bluger's stick and went right in. And you could just see his reaction. It was like going in slow-mo.
It was so bad. Like, I just remember looking at it like, yo, did he really? And then they said, I forgot who, the guy that actually they gave the goal to. It's like, well, it'll technically be credited to him, but we all know who scored this goal right here. And it was clear as day, man.
Yeah, Jari just can't catch a break from that standpoint. Yeah. Now, granted, even though they did have those 2 lucky goals and say we do score that goal with 3 minutes left, who knows? Maybe it's a little bit of a different story. They did have a lot of good opportunities early on where Jari was like flailing around and you're just wondering, how didn't that puck go in? Like, we actually got lucky from that standpoint. So I think how the outcome was, 4-1 could have actually ended up being like 3-1 or something like that without Bluger hitting that shot in, maybe. I do think they just outplayed us last game.
Not that they did as well, man. It's sometimes, like I said, it happens like that, right? In terms of that second, third period span where, like I said, they were able to go up and get those 3-4 goals back to back like that. Sometimes it happens and the game gets out of hand. We compare it to football, we've seen it just in our Cleveland Browns games this past season, right? The first Cleveland Browns game, man, we got up on them, and it got out of hand. It was over. Then we saw in the third one, how it was the reverse of that, right? They got the big lead early on and kind of put the game out of reach. So you can see, man, if it gets like that, sometimes, man, you just tip your cap to those guys. The beauty is this, though. With football, we don't get the series. With them, they got the series. So typically the better team traditionally wins when you spread it out like this. So even though we knew this was going to be a tough series, even though we knew that they were evenly matched just based on the regular season as well. I mean, there was 6-2.
The 4 teams in our division. Yeah. It's any of these teams could be coming out.
And how many times, even when we beat the Islanders, it was 1 score, 2 score, or overtime. Like, it was never just a ton of blowouts. So
Bruins just beat the Capitals.
Absolutely. Like, it's just one of those things, man. We felt like we had the toughest division right now. We felt like we had the toughest division once we saw it was broken up. And it's reflecting like that in the postseason, as it should. But either way, we feel like we're going to get the job done.
Luckily, we still have home ice advantage. It's 2-2, so we have this one at home, Game 6 on the road, Game 7 home. So that does play into our favor a little bit because, man, I'll tell you what, the Islanders' place was packing. Or bumping, I guess. It was packed. It was packing.
It was packing. I hope it wasn't packing. I mean, was it packing? We got the 4/5 or the
I don't know.
The 380 what we on, man? Jeez.
It was bumping.
And look, and shout out to us also, right? Or not even us. Just shout out to me for this one. I totally forgot to put the topic up here, man. So as we were just going through this whole thing, I just remember like, oh, we got topics. See? Because we weren't live, it was making me not look over here at this screen. And now I was like, no, we're not live, but we're still got topics. So topics up there now. All right, so we're good. We're strapped in.
It looks good. Yeah,
man. Shout out to shout out to the crew.
Yeah. I don't know if I got anything else for the game though. Is that it for the topic?
Well, shoot. Now that I just pulled it up, I'm gonna ramble for like 30 seconds real quick. All right, so here we go.
How about a prediction for the game?
No. Well, because obviously we got Game 5 tonight. It's going to be important. It's back in Pittsburgh. Now, we might have this out before then, but either way, it doesn't matter. I'm excited about it, though. The bigger question, though, to me is, what are we going to get from Sid and what are we going to get from Malkin? You look at the first game back for Malkin in Game 4. He obviously got the point, man. For the bettors out there, we talked about that, man. First game back for Malkin after an injury. You put money down on him to get a point because he's money like that. And sure enough, he did. But this the past game after that, right? We talk about the game that just happened. Because I mixed it up. He did that.
He had more than a point, right? He had a couple
that was
points.
In Game 3. Yeah,
that was the Carter 4-goal game.
That was Game 3. Game 4 was the one where him and Sid, man, just combined. I mean, I just feel like they didn't do enough on the offense in terms of getting shots. I mean, between those two, they only had 2 shots on goal. Like, that's not good. That's not acceptable, man. For those two guys, we know who they are. We know what we expect from them as well. So hopefully they can respond from their performances as well. And then, man, I'm still waiting on another Jeff Carter goal, man. The dude's been money since he's come here, whether it was through the trade or postseason. However you look at it, the dude's been able to put the puck in the net. So I'm hoping that we can get some more of that from him too, man.
No, 100%. Yeah. Malcolm bounce back, hopefully. You're right. Fans, it's going to be packing.
Yeah, it's going to be packed. Well, dude, since fans have been back, I feel like it changes everything, man. Football, basketball, hockey, like the energy is just different, man.
It should be 100% today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to think after that game, it's just going to be going crazy. The place is going to be going crazy.
Got to.
Offense is going to be there at least. I don't know about some of these defensive lapses and maybe Jari lets up an unlucky one because that's been a consistent theme all year. So if they score 2 or 3 goals, that may happen, but we need to score 4 or 5.
The thing is this, we need to score first. If we can start fast and get the energy going, we'll be fine. What would hurt us in a big time way, we get out here and give up a goal or 2 early in that first period, and the crowd the crowd just gets out of it. Then you're having a bigger issue that way, or you deal with the crowd. They might get mad internal. You never know. You know how the mob goes. We call the fans the mob for a reason. You give them something to applaud, they'll clap it up. If that performance is below the line too much, they will stone him. So yeah,
it's a weird time though, just because
it's a weird time.
Since this is like the first game at 100% capacity and the fans are just starting to come back, I just think everyone's happy to be there. So even if it's a bad performance, so, man.
I'm hoping so.
I don't think they'll be too harsh on
All
this
I know is I watched the Knicks play the Hawks, and they were in rare form. That 15,000 fans that were in Madison Square Garden, as soon as Trae Young touched the ball, it was, yo, Trae. Yeah. So with that being said, I didn't feel like they needed to warm up to it or they were rusty from a fandemonium. I just don't think our Pittsburgh fans are going to be, rusty either tonight if it gets to us.
I don't think they're going to turn on us.
I hope you're right.
I'll put it that way. If it's a bad game, I don't think there's going to be booing. I think they're just going to be happy to be there.
I hope you're right.
That's what I'm guessing.
If it looked like how Game 4 looked, I beg to differ.
Okay.
Yeah. If we look at this 4-1 or 4-0 or 3-0 at any time,
I think people love the Pens so much, though. I'm telling you, out of the 3 sports teams in Pittsburgh, I think people let the Pens stuff, like if they're playing bad, they'll let that slide the most. Now, Steelers and Pirates, I think the booing would go crazy.
See, you said you think it's because they care about the Pens the most?
They're the most beloved. I don't think there's as much criticism towards the Pens as there is with the Steelers and Pirates.
See, I think it's more so because hockey is more of a niche sport.
That's fair. Yeah.
The people that understand it, they aren't going to criticize to the same level. Whereas with football, we've talked about football. You got people that are experts, people that have played it, and then you got people that have never, they just, all right, casually tune in and they have the craziest it takes. Like we've seen that as well. I feel like we have a lot more of that with football, basketball, and to an extent baseball. But you're right, with hockey, I don't know why. It's just never
like, I just don't see him booing first game back like this. Maybe give him the next series and we're starting to play bad, maybe. But like Steelers, we're playing bad first game.
Bro, they don't
they'll be going crazy.
They'll be booing after the quarter.
Third quarter, yeah.
What?
I just have a feeling the first game back like this, I think everyone's just going to be appreciative of the atmosphere.
Let's just hope it doesn't come to that.
True.
Let's hope we don't have to experience that or decide who was right or wrong here. Hopefully, they start fast, get the dub, and then we don't have to worry about anything.
Sure. So what we got? Hoops,
man. So yeah, we got to go to these hoops, man. Now that I'm on my game now, I'm back in the zone over here.
How much you watch?
Man, I watched the
You watch all the games?
Not all of them, but I watched a good amount of them. Let's see. I watched Memphis Jazz. That was dope. Watched Lakers Suns. That was crazy. Pretty much any of them Sunday ones. Obviously, New York versus Atlanta. Because even though I'm a Bron guy, like Bron is my guy. Wherever he's at, that's my squad. You know, I'm a Knicks guy at heart. I'm a New Yorker. Well, I'm not from New York, but I'm from New York. Everybody knows this, man. It's always New York. That's what it's always been. Yeah.
So you got Yankees.
Mm-hmm. Always Yankees. It's always been Yankees and it's always been Yankees and the Knicks. Excuse me. Yeah, Brooklyn. I'm all over the place right now. The New York Knicks.
Brooklyn now a little bit. Right. Do you lean that way a little bit now?
No, I'm saying Brooklyn because Jay-Z. Because it's always like New York for me, like New York. So Jay-Z, Brooklyn. Sure. Then I had what was it? DMX, Yonkers. You know what I mean? So it's like Biggie, Bad Style. It's always New York.
All right. So, but you had Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Hockey, did you not get into hockey till Buffalo?
Yeah,
then
I wasn't really
you
into
went
hockey
Sabres a little bit, then you transferred over to the Pens.
Yeah, the first I'm trying to think hockey game I actually watched, not like a minor league, because obviously back home we had the Norfolk Admirals. They're kind of like what? I don't even know.
Probably AHL?
Yeah,
Are they?
They were like super small, man, feeder team. But the first hockey game that I actually watched, it was the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so initially I liked them. They were cool, but I never in Virginia, we don't get hockey like that. Not when I was growing up, man. Yeah. So it was all right, cool. Red Wings, all right. Don't have a clue about anything.
Dude, that's how it is with hoops here, man. We don't have a team. It's just tough. You follow storylines. You like a player here or there. That's about it. We're just hoping to get a team at some point.
Because I'm at least with basketball, a kid up here can pick up a basketball and just go hoop. Back where I was at, man.
Hockey,
what ice rink, man? Yeah, I barely saw snow. Ice. What is this stuff, and what do you do with it?
So you want to talk Lakers?
Man,
Suns?
Yeah, we definitely got to talk Lakers, man.
I paid attention to that a little bit. I was watching Phil Mickelson in golf, but I was going back and forth.
Shout out to Phil, too, man. Shout out to Phil.
That was crazy.
Oldest guy to win one, man.
Wait, talking about fans, did you see the 18th hole what happened?
I did not know what happened.
Bro.
Because, see, I was following it early.
Fans didn't know how to act, man.
So, look, when I was on the radio, I was following it because I had to give, the update. So, I was talking about Kapka. I was talking about, was it Oosthuizen. Yeah, I was killing his name. Gosh. But I had to keep giving the updates on those guys. So yeah, I followed it to that part, but I didn't see the 18th, man. So
oh my god, dude. They let the ropes down because it's the last group. No. So the fans, you usually this always happens, but it's usually way better security.
Yeah.
You can let the fans go right behind the two players that are coming in, and you could see it from that type of angle, and the fans start to encompass the whole fairway, and then once you hit your approach shots to the green, the fans will encompass the whole green. It's a really cool.
I like how you say that, encompass.
Yeah, encompass. Really
so
cool.
Elegant.
Yeah, it's a really cool sight, but security was terrible. I guess they didn't have ropes or something, and you got to think this might have been, I don't know, that had to have been 70-80% capacity there, and people just didn't know how to act. Phil hit his second shot onto the green, and dudes are coming up to Phil, touching him and stuff, patting him on the back.
Wilding.
And the one dude, he almost took Phil down. Phil almost fell, but he just got back up.
Phil too old to be falling, man. Hey, Phil, and keep Phil off the ground.
And listen, they ran up to the green before Phil. I think this was after Koepka hit, but they ran up to the green before Mickelson or Koepka got up there. So once they finally approached it, they had to walk through probably 10, 20 feet of people to get to the green. It wasn't like there was an opening or anything.
Crazy.
And then Koepka says after the round, he's like, it was a cool atmosphere. Honestly, if I would have won, it would be much cooler. But what sucked, he just came back from knee surgery. He was like, I got dinged up a little bit. Like he was like, I don't know if someone was doing it on purpose. I don't know. Dude, I texted
dinged up a little bit.
Listen, I texted my buddy that too, because
oh man.
Like, I watch golf in terms of, like, I'll at least watch all 4 majors, and if it's a big tournament, I'll tune in, usually on Sundays. But he'll pay attention to, like, golf coverage and the news and stuff, so he knows what fans think of certain players and everything. Right. So I was asking him, like, what do you think of Brooks's call here? A lot of people are hating on him. And he was like, no, honestly, I'd be pretty pissed too. Like, if my leg he's coming a month off of that knee surgery.
I'll be hot.
And he said, I got to ice it after this. Like, he was like, my knee was feeling great all week, but like after this 18th hole, now it feels like shit. Yeah. But that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is he playing it up a little too much?
I feel like he's definitely playing it up. But in athletes, we do play it up occasionally. But I do think that, yes, he probably was feeling some discomfort. I mean, besides the fact that he had already played the golf that he played, if you get bumped on something that you just had surgery on a month ago, you're still probably rehabbing. Let's be real about it. You're not. I mean, because you talk about the scar tissue that's associated with it, the muscles healing and everything like that. Yeah, you're not going to be completely healthy. So if somebody does bump you, you will feel it, and it could throw you off. But it just comes off as, sour grapes when it's after the fact. If this was talked about before he made his shots or anything like that, different conversation. But anytime it's after the fact, it just looks kind of bad. Like if Jordan would have lost the flu game, and after the game, he's like, well, I got the flu. It's like, you lost. We won't care about that. But since he won, it looks even better now. So kind of same thing, man.
Yeah, it just sucks. It happened on 18.
Yeah.
So it was bad timing.
It's like, how convenient.
Yeah. Right.
It was the accumulation. That's what it was.
Yeah, so that was it. That was it for golf. It was pretty cool because Phil made it interesting. Like he was destroying the field with like 4 or 5 holes left. He was up like 4 or 5. He always makes it interesting though, man. Like he hits a bad shot and then like Oosthuizen was in the mix still. Koepka, he started coming back, putting a little bit better.
Because Koepka, he started out, he was what 4 under going. He was
4 under going to the last. Phil was 6, so it just needed to be Koepka with the birdie, Phil with the bogey. But Phil, he had a bad drive. Koepka had the way better drive, but that approach shot, he hit it within like 10 feet. It was perfect. That was just match over.
See. We got our golf correspondent right here too, baby.
Nah.
That's what you versatility. We talk golf on this show. They thought we don't talk no golf on this show. We talk golf up here too, man.
That was history, man. Oldest player to win a major.
Absolutely, that was dope.
That is dope. He doesn't look, dude. He hit the ball further than anyone else on the one specific hole. I don't know if it was for the whole tournament, but he hit it further than Koepka. And Koepka's one of the biggest hitters on the tour.
See, I don't follow it like that. Like I know some of these names, but I don't know like how you're like. You
dude, he hit it. He hit it 366 off the tee. Like he's 50.
Yeah,
I think he might go on a little stretch here. He might
like that.
He might. I mean, if he's playing like that, like he just beat everyone in the world right there.
GOAT?
And he's Phil. No, hell no. I don't know. It's just cool to see. Like it is kind of cool to see the dudes that you grew up watching. Like. Still competing like this.
Get so serious right there.
It's Tiger, dude. Come on. No way. I mean, if that was Phil Tiger, oh man, I'd be pissed. Actually, I wouldn't be as like lackadaisical. I'd want Tiger to win that, man. Although I do like Koepka. Koepka's probably one of my top favorites right now, as in terms of like the young players that are coming up. But yeah, if it was Tiger, man, I'd be rooting for him hard. Yeah.
I'm a Tiger guy, man. I hope his recovery is going well.
I hope so too.
But shoot, just transitioning back to the NBA and stuff like that, but sticking with the theme of some of these older guys that we love, that we have grown accustomed to watching, that are dealing with some injuries as well, man. That Lakers and Suns game, man. CP3 obviously dealing with the little shoulder injury that he had in the game, and then the Bron fall out of the sky. He hurt his arm. Scuffle.
Did you see the Oscars tweet?
Oh my God,
please
bro.
tell me you saw it.
I didn't know what they say.
Oh no, it was photoshopped so good. It was edited so good. It was basically the scene starts off. Someone's about to announce an Oscar award. Oh my God. And the 3 nominees, it's like, no, it was like 4 or 5 nominees, four or 5 big name actors, and then LeBron's in it. And then all of a sudden they cut to LeBron James wins, and like this might have been at the ESPYs or something, but they cut to like him walking up on stage about to receive the award. It was so good. It was so good.
But when I see it, I'm just like, what the heck is happening here? I'm like, my wifey's like, yo, did he really hurt? I'm trying to feel. I'm like, babe, is it the pec? I don't know. Is it the like? I don't know what he's grabbing at or why he fell like that or why he can't walk all of a sudden. You saw CP Chris Paul trying to pick him up. He's like, I'm like, did you get shot? Like, what's going on? Is it the leg? Is it the knee? Is it the chest? Is it the back? Is it the arm? Like, that was funny, man. But as a whole in that game, AD, he's the one. Anthony Davis, bro. Like, and the crazy part is he does do that from time to time. I feel like he's one of those. Like, he's a star, but he reminds me of like just a beta versus like being a true alpha, like a dog. Like, he just...
Yeah, he couldn't carry a team.
Yeah, and I think that's why you see him play a lot better here in LA more consistently than obviously he was in New Orleans and he had to be the feature.
He put up crazy stats.
Right, but you could just tell, like, it kind of remind me of Kevin Love at times where it's like you're scoring a ton, you're double, triple, but it's meaningless. It's not impactful, right? The game is already over. Now, we know he had series where, okay, I think it was the Portland series, right? When he was in New Orleans where he went off and won it by himself, was putting 50 up. And it was dope. But then we saw the next series where it kind of dropped back off. You got to do it for
4 series to win a championship.
And it's just like he picks and chooses when he's going to show up like that. And that was the case, man. I felt like, dude, watching DeAndre Ayton, I'm like, I like DeAndre, but I don't like him like that. Like, he was out here schooling AD. That was the crazy part to me. Like, Devin Booker went crazy, and he should have. Like, we love Devin. Devin can hoop. Like, ever since the bubble last year, he kind of, showed everybody what he can really do against the best of the best. Because I was out in Phoenix. They're not on TV to the same extent. I mean, they're the 2 seed. And a lot of people didn't even know they were good like that. It's like, no, they're legit, man. Shout out to CP3 for that. But the big thing is like AD got to show up. He has to give me more, man. He has to produce way more than that, man.
It might have not just been AD though, because LeBron, what do you have? 8 points in the first 4 or 5 minutes, then he just had 10 the remaining and the rest of the game. Yeah. So I'm guessing just first game.
Yeah.
Weird vibes, last of the games. Well, almost like last year with the Lakers Rockets, right?
Yes.
That's what it was.
Well, because I was gonna say Lakers Rocket, and wasn't it Lakers Portland as well? Similar standpoint.
Yeah, they lose.
It was back to back. They lost game ones. They lost game one. Yeah, back to back until they got to the Western Conference Finals. Where did they lose game one versus the Nuggets?
I can't remember.
I don't remember either. But like they did that a lot. So to me, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe you got the hangover from the playing because that was a one-off. Like you had to get it.
Still not completely there either.
Well, and LeBron's still not completely healthy.
Yeah.
Well, and I was like, this is what LeBron's his 4th game back, but 3rd in a row right now. Because remember, he had came back, set a game, came back, play in, and then obviously this one. So I'm like, all right. We'll chalk that up to the rest. But for AD, I'm like, AD's been back. So that's why for me, I was more so looking at him because I'm like, I expect Bron's still going to be Bron, but he might be a little rusty early on. But AD, you've been playing for a little, almost a month now. Like he came back way before Bron did, had way more time to get back in shape, get his shot going, get his legs back under him. You can't do that in the playoffs. That's my thing.
And you would just think too, I don't know what it is, but usually once a dude wins a championship, like the weight's off their shoulders. They could play way more free.
Yeah.
But to see some of this stuff, I mean, it's one game right now in the playoffs, so we'll see what AD does here on out. But if you see this happening, it's almost the opposite effect of what you would think. It's maybe just like championship or not, this is kind of what AD is. He's not the type of dude that's just all of a sudden now going to take over, be the franchise guy, the dude that you could count on. Like at some point, maybe you're going to have to pair him with like a stud that's maybe 1A to his 1B.
Right. I mean, AD could be a Paul George. You think about Paul George, right? Paul George is a star, but we don't classify him in the same vein of your Kawhis, of your KDs, of your bronze stuff like that. He's kind of like in that B tier of those stars, the beta version, right? Not a true alpha. He hasn't been able to lead a team by himself. Even when he was in Indiana, it was him, Danny Granger, and Roy Hibbert.
Those were interesting teams.
They were, but they still could never get it done with just that group. They needed more. They needed another alpha. And obviously, we've seen Paul George with Kawhi. And even though Kawhi's a superstar, he still isn't as assertive as some of the other guys that we are accustomed to seeing from a superstar standpoint. You can just see how those two guys and their dynamic, it's challenging, because nobody really is the guy, right? To just like, I got this. Like, it's me. So I'm like, maybe AD is like that. But as long as he's paired with healthy Bron, he's good. But if Bron is coming back and it's going to be all right, he might be good on this night, might be a little rusty on this night, or might be a little tired on this night. Well, AD, you're going to have to play a lot more consistently at that high end level versus that low end, just let me ride your coattail level.
You know what this game reminded me of?
Uh-oh.
It's actually not too far into the past.
Uh-oh.
It was the Warriors playing game. Because Lakers were down double digits. There'd be points throughout the game where they'd get it closer, single digits. But then when it started to hit third, fourth quarter, Lakers started to pick it up a little bit.
Yes,
but the Suns were just a better team. Like Booker started hitting shots, or not started hitting shots, continued to hit shots. But then the Suns team in general, like they make a pass, like Bridges would hit an open shot, like you said, Ayton.
Yeah.
They had a really nice squad as opposed to the Warriors. It was just really Steph.
Yeah. But it is still crazy though, as bad as we're talking about AD's playing and Bron not, giving us typical Bron performance. They only lost by 9. Yeah. They still had chances at the end. That was the funny part. It's like 2 minutes left in the game, they're down 10, and I'm like, they're really one shot away from being right back in this thing. Like,
Suns just weren't stopping them.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Any other takes on NBA games around the league?
Ja Morant, he's real. I can't wait to see him.
You know what? I did have that one on last night. I couldn't believe that. I mean,
he's real.
Jazz didn't have Donovan Mitchell.
That's what I'm ready to see when he comes back. He wants to come back game 2. He was pissed that he didn't play in game 1, but he's done with an ankle injury. So when you're coming back from injury, it's just one of them things. But yeah.
Yeah, Gobert wasn't really doing too much with the Jazz either.
Ja's on one. You saw what he did to Steph and them boys. Sent them home.
That'll be interesting because you wouldn't really think of this game as a 1-8. I think of it more as like a 4-5 or a 3-6.
True.
Jazz being the 1 seed. I don't care that they're the 1 seed.
Think about that, what you said right there, right? So Jazz are a 1 seed. Suns are a 2 seed. So you got 1-8 Jazz Memphis, where we talked about it feels like a 4 or 5, and then you got 2-7. But you feel like it should be reversed. It should be the Lakers are the 2 seed and then the Suns are the 7. This is one of them years, man.
Are you concerned about the Lakers at all going forward?
Nah, if
do you have a percentage chance that you give the Suns right now of winning the series?
Nah, if Bron's healthy, Bron's gonna win the series. Period.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's all predicated on. And that's with AD showing up or not. It's just one, Bron's not gonna have to work as hard if AD shows up, and hopefully, if he doesn't have to work as hard, he's gonna last a lot longer through the playoffs. If AD doesn't show up, well, now Bron's going to have to, empty that load a little bit earlier. And I think that affects him later down the line in the postseason when we're talking Western Conference Finals and things like that. Could potentially see, him slow down in that part of the season or that part of the postseason. So that's what I'm more worried about. I feel like they get out of this, though, because they don't have an answer for Bron. If Bron plays like how Bron plays, they still couldn't even think about quiet Bron. That was quiet Bron yesterday. They still were in it the whole time. That's my thing. I'm like, if Bron plays like how Bron plays, which we know he's going to show up.
We're ripping on AD, but LeBron wasn't himself yesterday.
Right. But it's like Bron's going to show up. That's been the one constant throughout his career. He might have one off game, but he's going to bounce back. With AD, that's the wild card. That's the one where it's like, all right, is he going to show up this series or is he just going to take it off? Like, you just never know.
I'm sure he will. Yeah. He'll at least give you 2 or 3 games, maybe 30, 40 points.
That's all we need. I need one AD game. I just need one AD game.
CP3 injury, though.
That's the interesting one. Because you saw he's like his handle was all wacky after that too, man.
That just sucks for him, dude.
Yeah.
He can't catch a break. Like this might be legitimately, I mean, the one with the Rockets for sure, because they were
crazy. They should have won that series.
Yeah, they were up on the Warriors, but this one, Lakers are down this year. Like the teams that should be the best going into this one were down. Like the Suns legitimately, depending on how you felt about the Jazz, I still don't have any faith in the Jazz. Like you could have said the Suns might have been the best team going into this playoffs based off the regular season, just how everything was gelling. Obviously, a lot of people are going to pick the Lakers just because of LeBron, even though they're a 7 seed. But they're down compared to what they were last year, which is crazy because I think their roster's better. It's just all the injuries.
Yeah. This is crazy though, bro.
Hey, it should be good playoffs. Luka and Mavs, they beat the Clippers too.
Again. I like Luka's energy though, bro.
This one might be legit though this year. Like last year, you were just like, all right, this might be just the first time Luka's first coming out party. Bro. Not really going to win.
Big talk too.
Oh, to Beverly. You had to like that, huh?
I didn't know Luka had that. Now I started researching more. They said that's what Luka does. Why he gets all this text. So I was like, okay, because I know he gets a lot of text. I just didn't know why. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But they say he talks like that a lot. So now I'm even more enamored because you know how I feel. If you're my superstar, like give me that. I like Kawhi, but he's too quiet for me. I want you to like, you know how Bron he gonna give you that look like, give me that Luka. And when I saw Luka,
his team's trash too. Like if they pull it off,
not trash.
What do you mean?
Shout out to my dog Dorian Finney-Smith, man. He from the crib, 757. All right, he's not trash. Everybody else can say it's trash. Dorian Finney-Smith is not trash. Okay. He is from the 757. All right. Portsmouth, actually, man.
It's one of those things. Anyone from the 757 can say it.
Well, mainly anybody from the 757, but more so him because, like I said, like me and his brother, we grew up, you know what I'm saying, playing middle school, high school together, competing against each other, like Noah's family, like, they good people. So it's like, yo, I like them. I like him.
The rest of their depth chart. The rest of their depth chart's trash.
Yeah. I tune in for Luka and Dorian. That's it. All right.
I mean, Porzingis is your number 2. That's not the best. He's fine. Always hurt though.
Is he like Anthony Davis light? Is he Anthony Davis like the diet version right now?
I don't know. He's just always hurt, man. Apparently they had a tough relationship too throughout their couple years in the Mavs. Doncic and Porzingis. I don't know if they got along completely. That's what Cuban was saying. I can't remember.
Who's the better big man?
Listen, dude. I'm not gonna get into all this because I haven't really watched an NBA game all season up to this point. I listen from afar. I stay up on the headlines and stuff.
Dude, this is my sport right here. I need my hoops, man.
Yeah, it's cool though. It's cool though because
it's like that beautiful time of year.
It really is. It's better than last year too because this is the dead time in between NFL news, NFL things. But it's really all together right now because for me at least, them having the PGA Championship at this point too is big time because usually it's in like late August.
Right.
They put this thing in between the Masters and the U.S. Open, so we're getting a lot of good stuff coming up here.
I like it, man. Like I said, I'm enjoying it, man. So we're good with that, baby. And then speaking of, let's see, NFL, right? Because we got to go back. We had some NFL content as well, man. Some Steelers content, actually.
Yeah.
Something spicy that was said.
Yeah.
Interview that took place. A couple spicy things that were said, man. Shout out to JuJu Smith-Schuster. But yeah, he recently did an interview, and I think you got the comments on this thing correct.
I do. I got the quotes.
So do share with the class today, Mr. Deke.
Which one you want first?
Man, I want the give me.
Well, actually, the one came from an interview with Bleacher Report, Lefko.
Okay.
The other one was in an article. It's called theinsidehook.com. So which one you want?
Inside hook. Give me the inside hook. It sounds kind of spicy. Give me the inside hook.
Okay, hold on. Let me copy and paste this.
Are we talking like boxing inside hook? Like, or is it a check hook?
Dude, I can't figure out what type of website this thing is. I really can't. It seems
looking website.
Yeah, it seems like it's
at least
pop culture, up to date type of stuff.
It's not like them other websites you go to, where it's got like them little pop ups always, and it's like spam. It's like triple X.
I will say this: the layout is pretty phenomenal. It's really simple. It is really simple. All right, so
what is that thing right there? Is that P-O? What does that say? Whoa. I mean, man, my eyes are still recovering over here. I'm acting like I ain't see that.
Dude, that's not what we're talking about here.
Wait a minute. You gotta minimize your screen.
That's in the favorites tab.
Silly, bro.
So,
all right, so what we got from JuJu, man? Talk to me, man. What did he say?
I don't even know what prompted this because I'm trying to look for the question. Yeah, JuJu says he feels like he has unfinished business in the Steel City and wants to be a part of what is likely Roethlisberger's final season playing pro football. So they're taking these quotes. I don't know, but we're seeing the quotes. I don't know what context they're in, what question was posed. But here we go. This was from JuJu. Being able to play with Ben again for one more year. I believe right now on paper it is his last one. I think it is. Smith-Schuster, who's known for appearing on TikTok, Twitch, and just helped Charmin unveil its new AI digital doppelganger BRB bot, tells Inside Hook.
What?
Yeah, they were talking about this on the
doppelganger. What?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I tried looking it up. Because the way he was explaining, I'm like, what the hell?
That sounds like epic based on the name, but I'm like, what the heck is that?
It's Charmin, though. It has some...
It's like toilet paper, right?
It is.
So I can get like a bot, though. I don't even...
It has something to do with Twitch streaming. Like, the Charmin bot comes up and it entertains the people for you.
Oh, okay. I thought it was on some, like, you're playing, so you can't...
That's what I thought.
Time to stop, and it just... that's why
I thought it was a toilet seat, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to say... I was like, yo,
but it's not. It's something to do with virtually, like, you call up the Charmin bot, and it tries to, like, entertain the people that are watching you while you're going to the bathroom.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
I do like that a lot better than to think people... Well, and I shouldn't be surprised with just to think that somebody couldn't stop just playing for just take the bathroom break. Like,
hey, I think everyone understands.
Like, come on, bro. We're seriously here, man.
He goes on. He's done so much for me over the past 4 years. I had an opportunity to go to 2 different teams with 2 young quarterbacks who have tremendous careers ahead of them. But as far as Ben, this year is special because it'll be his last. He had a tremendous career for 15 plus years, and it would be great to go out with a W. He has more quotes.
Man, all right, JuJu.
Hold on, let's see here. In my time playing football, I've had some good quarterbacks over the years, but I think Ben is by far the best one. You don't get those opportunities for very long. He was telling me I have 17 games with him during the regular season. It goes fast. So for me, it's definitely motivation to play my heart out for him and the team. Every time I step on the field, I've got to play like it's my last play because I don't want to leave nothing on the field that I shouldn't have. So, yeah, that's about it. He goes on to talk about the Browns a little bit. But, yeah, those were the quotes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, actually. When did people start tagging me in this? I think it was Friday or Saturday.
Friday, because
I don't think it's gained much steam, actually.
Those haven't. Like I said, I was getting tagged, I think it was Saturday for me doing the radio stuff, where people were just bringing up the comment that he made about Debo in terms of, I could have went to Baltimore, but I decided to stay here. I didn't want to be like James Harrison or something like that. Like, that was the comment that I kept getting tagged in, but I didn't even see those. And I mean, he doubled down on it multiple times where he talks about how significant this go around is, the 17 games, not leaving a bad play out there because he knows that he's not going to get that opportunity again with Ben. Man, if that is the case, wow. You talk about a bombshell, Lord. Whew.
You know what I'm thinking, though?
Whew.
I'm thinking this website's fake news.
All right. I hope so.
No, here's what I will say. What I will say. What I'm thinking is, obviously, I want Ben to play for a few more years. A few more years. So this is a little bit of surprise because I think we both have had the sentiment that he's at least going to maybe come back for one more year. And Cam Hayward literally just like 2 or 3 days ago was talking about like, having Harris here is going to help Ben's longevity. Right. Jerome Bettis has said that. Even Colbert was like, I don't know how much longer Ben has.
Even based on the extensions and the contracts, and we talked about even with the salary cap expected to go up, it's like everything is pointing to Ben coming back. So that's why for it to be JuJu saying that, I'm like, whoa. But then I'm also wondering, out of all those people, who do you think talks to Ben the most? JuJu. So that's why for me, when I initially heard these, or at least looked at it, I thought it held a little bit more weight because even though Cam is a captain, Cam doesn't play offense and Cam doesn't play wide receiver where he has to talk to Ben on the regular. You think about JuJu. You think JuJu and Ben don't communicate during the offseason? You think that they're not trying to get together to work out at different parts, in terms of throwing and stuff like that? Like, that's a part of this. So they have a really good relationship. They communicate. So that's why I'm just like, he would talk to JuJu way more than he would be talking to Jerome Bettis right now, right? Or even Kevin Colbert to that extent, because you think about it, they were doing contract negotiations, so Seven isn't directly talking to those guys. That's your agent. The agent is doing the talking. Then, if anything, he probably didn't talk to those guys nowhere near the same amount as he typically would because of the contract negotiations, because you're having to deal with the agents and things like that. So that's interesting, man. That's interesting. But it's weird because if it is the case, it's kind of messed up on JuJu's part. Yeah. He would have revealed that, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm wondering about this article. There's not context for the exact question, so they could have asked them something.
You know what I mean?
And then taking those quotes or whatever just to make it a nice little article. I don't know.
But he definitely said that, though. That's the part that gets me. I'm like, you reiterated the fact that you do feel this is the last go around. You even talked about the significance. If it is the last go around, like, why is it so significant? But he wasn't speaking from like a hypothetical standpoint. He was speaking as if like it was confirmed. Like he knew this. That's the part where I'm just like, whoa. But either way, if it is the last go around, well, I'm glad that Ben did communicate it with JuJu, so at least JuJu knows to be on his best so that we can get the most productivity out of those guys on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't know.
But here's my thing. I don't think it. Right? Yeah, no, I don't think, and I don't think it matters because Ben's only got one more year on his contract, and so does JuJu.
Right.
So the 17 games could just be that. You know what I mean? Let's either just come back, let's go for one more run, let's see what happens afterwards. Not saying I'm going to retire, not because the other part of his comments were, I believe right now on paper it's his last one. He's just like, I believe that, I think it is. So you combine that with the 17-game comment. The 17-game comment could just be pertaining
to this season.
You know what I mean? Whereas, like,
it's not 17 games next season.
No, but what I mean is JuJu just has one more year on his contract.
But JuJu also, remember, he says that he said he want to go to a rival, right? So maybe, I don't know. Is JuJu hinting that he wants to leave next year because he's been saying
that's what I mean. You could take this multiple ways. I think the saying 17 games. I think it's just like, yo, let's run it back. I think that's what he's saying. I don't think it's necessarily indication.
But he said the final season though.
Huh? No.
Early on, right?
No. Ben never said it. He was telling me.
I thought JuJu said that at the beginning of it when you were talking about it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just what I mean is it's like JuJu's opinion. He says, being able to play with Ben again for one more year, I believe right now on paper it is his last one. I think it is. He's done so much for me for the past 4 years. And then he says at the bottom of, let me see, the bottom of this paragraph. Yeah, he says, but as far as Ben, this year is special because it'll be his last. He had a tremendous career.
Like, I'm like, that doesn't sound like he's talking contract because they could have said that about last year's contract based on how we knew that, hey, man, that's not going to be able to get played out. You know what I mean? Based on the money and stuff like that.
You know, I'm going to come at it from, I think Ben's playing for an extra year to spin. So I'm just going to say, but I think this is...
see how it is said, though, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, that's what I'm like.
100%.
JuJu's making it sound like it is confirmed. Like, he has this information, like, yes, this is going to be it. Like, that doesn't sound like speculation to me. I was like, whoa, like, JuJu, that's a bomb if that's true, man.
Which is weird to me, though, because you would think you'd be hearing it from Ben's camp before anyone else. And then based off all the comments that we've been getting over the past like month or so, I thought it was like almost a given Ben was at least going for another year.
You already know me. Listen, even though I was against it early on, it's like, bro, we just, man, when the different things that are played, we say, yo, he's coming back. He'll be back next year. That's going to be interesting. So do we hope JuJu is not accurate? Is that what you're telling me?
Definitely. I'm definitely hoping he's not accurate.
Because JuJu has already said that he wants to play his whole career here.
That's what JuJu said. Not only that, but he also said in another interview, I think back in February, March, he said, I always tell Ben, give me 4 more years.
Yes,
so
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I'm taking it as like, hey, JuJu, let's just run it back. We got 17 games.
Because it doesn't sound like that.
Huh?
It doesn't sound like that. If anything, I was going to take it like this.
Okay.
JuJu, just chill out, bro. Stop. Don't talk about Saturn. Just shh. So then I won't have to know. Because if it is true, then it's sad. But if it's not true, then it's like, all right, good, we're good. But right now, that's hot.
No one's talking about it. I don't think anyone's talking about it.
Gosh.
I'm hoping it's not true.
I'm hoping so as well, man.
And it feels, like I said, it feels more like the beginning paragraph that I talk about. I'm thinking that's just JuJu giving his opinion. Mm-hmm. But then the 17 games thing that he said to almost back up that opinion, I'm taking that as more of like, hey, Ben's using this as more just like motivation. Give me 17 more games. Let's run it back.
And it will just delete that last part.
So the sentence was, but as far as this year,
delete that last part.
This year is special because it'll be his last. But I think
we could just delete that part,
same.
Man.
That's the same paragraph where it says, I believe right now on paper it is his last one. I think it is. So that's still opinion from my standpoint.
The one part sounded like opinion. The other part sounded like conviction. Like, this is it. Jordan last dance. Like, that's what it sounded like. We can delete it though. Just white out the last sentence and we're fine.
I can't. This isn't my website.
Yeah. Oh man, it's too many pop-ups, man. Come on, bro. You gotta go back to your other website, man. With the little cool music in the background.
It's slowing up. Yeah.
Jeez, bro.
Shit. You see these viruses that are popping up. So yeah, this was just, I think for me, an interesting quote. Let's just push it to the side and not bring it up.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. But we'll talk about the other spicy quotes that did get talked about a lot more in terms of the comment that he made about James Harrison.
I have the exact ones.
Yeah. Go ahead, read that off, please.
JuJu says, the most disrespectful thing is, hey, like I'm James Harrison. Let me go to the Patriots. You lose that strong fan base. That is what JuJu said. He was being asked about like how much the fan base, loyalty, branding had to do with his decision to come back to Pittsburgh. So that was the one thing he said. And actually, one of the immediate, this is actually before he said the most disrespectful thing, James Harrison. This was the first sentence he said after the question. He said, if I go to Baltimore, my fan base here is going to hate me.
he does have a point from his perspective about the fan base potentially not being as fond of him if he were to go to Baltimore. But I think it's different with him compared to Debo, because just based on careers and productivity and hardware and all the other accolades, JuJu isn't close in any vein to what James was as a player. So I think that's
what he meant to Pittsburgh, to that point in their careers.
So it's like, even though when he left, like, he obviously, because of the way it happened, it was bad terms, but he's already been back and got applauded. Like, we know who Debo is. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like, and I don't feel like his brand is lacking in any way now because of it. I just think at that time it was different, but we also had TJ, and we understood what it meant. If you wanted Debo on the field, that means TJ comes off the field. And at the time, we weren't doing that. So that's
he wasn't playing anyway.
Right. So that was the thing. Whereas with JuJu's a significant contributor right now. If JuJu were to leave, it's like, yeah, we're gonna feel some type of way. But then also you just think about career wise, on and off the field stuff. Of recent, you know, from a recency standpoint, we have had to deal with some of the off-field stuff with JuJu, right? The TikTok dancing on the logo stuff, right? So if he were to have left to go to Baltimore this year, yes, people would have been, you know, saying even more stuff about him because of everything that transpired. Sure. And obviously us getting knocked out the way that we did come postseason time. But with Debo, I don't know, it just felt different. Like, and that was even with me being a part of the situation, you know, it's just
because it was like, yeah, Debo wasn't getting the playing time.
But you weren't going to take TJ off, and you still have Bud, who was finally starting to come into his own as well.
Yeah, and so he was cut. He was kind of free to go wherever. And in this case, from my standpoint, like, if he would have signed with the Ravens, I wouldn't have had any hard feelings. I wouldn't have, like, my fan base is going to hate me. I think that's way too strong.
But we have said that at times we do feel like, you know, he plays into his market. He plays into his crowd, which he should. He's supposed to play into your fan base. They would hate you. They're not going to hate you. They're not going to hate you for I mean, dude, your fans love you. You got to do a lot to make your fans actually, like, hate you. Typically, I do a lot.
But I think he does have a point. Like, he's somewhat, I don't know. He's pretty detailed in how he's thinking about this.
Oh, no, without
like,
a doubt,
if he can pull off the Steelers for life, his whole career here as a Steeler. And he was even talking about this in the interview. I think it was the last question where he was able to
so much longevity with it,
like,
man.
He was able to match his salary in the off season with some of his sponsorship stuff, his video games, whatever type of vlogs and videos he does. So he's trying to think, like, what's the best branding, maybe long term after I leave NFL.
Steelers brand. Like, exactly. When we talk about major franchise, and we talk about just in terms of sporting franchise, not just football, but the Steelers, they're one of those marquee franchises. I mean, they're constantly going to be in the conversation for top 10 franchises, right? Because obviously when we talk about in the world, you got to deal with, you know, your soccer clubs and things like that. And they obviously are massive. But the Steelers as a brand, they're always going to be in that conversation. So if you're JuJu, if you're not in Pittsburgh or Dallas or Green Bay or San Fran, like one of these like marquee, just big, just very recognizable, identifiable franchises, then you don't necessarily want to get attached to it, because as soon as you're done playing, imagine if you're playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars when you retire, you don't have a post market of just being a retired Jacksonville Jaguar. Now, you better say you're a retired NFL player before you say you're a retired Jaguar. Whereas when you're a Steeler, it's like, bro, I'm a retired Steeler. Like, I don't care about the NFL. I'm a retired Steeler. And it holds significant weight. It just is different. So if you're JuJu, he understands that. I mean, he sees how the market works, man. He understands the research and just how rabid this fan base is from a global standpoint. So for JuJu, man, it makes perfect sense.
And I think the comments about James Harrison may be taken out of context a little bit. I don't think it was a shot at James Harrison. I think it was more of just he saw, because he was on the team.
Yeah,
he saw how fans reacted initially, and it's like, I don't necessarily want that to happen to me if I want to be here long term, because I could see the value in staying. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think it was taken out of context a little bit.
Rookie year for JuJu?
It was. I looked up 2017.
That was crazy, because that was my last year here. Like, dude, you talk about some uncomfortable times. Like, at least for JuJu, he was on the offensive side of the ball, so he didn't have to sit in these meetings and see what was going on. You're like, bruh. And he would have hit you with the, Moats, watch what I'm about to do today. Like, no, don't. I don't want to know. Just
Just do it. Don't tell me.
I don't want to be an accomplice. I don't want them to be like, yo, did you know he was going to do this? I want to be able to say, no, I didn't know anything, coach. I was just there. Forgive me, please. It's not a good feeling, man.
Yeah,
Shout out to JuJu. He was definitely there for that.
Yeah,
God.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was a shot at Harrison. I think that was just the example he was able to pull from, because he said it really quick too. Because he got on with that answer. He was going into detail about a bunch of other things with it. So that's my kind of take.
Sometimes, man, you just use a name for reference, but then after the fact, and that's what we're supposed to do after the fact, we analyze it, right? We're going to comb through it, and then the fans, they're going to react to it, overreact or underreact, but they're going to have their reactions. It just happens like that. I think, like you said, that he was using it as a reference point, because that is a person where we can all say, okay, I remember that. Oh, yeah, I
went to the Patriots.
Those feelings for some of the people. Like, okay, cool, without it necessarily being a, hey, Debo, you know what I mean? So
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because I think even Debo, didn't he like quote tweet it and he like laughed it off a little bit? He was like, yeah, this is funny, like whatever. Not a big deal.
Shout out to Debo. Debo, I like when Debo takes the higher road. You never know with Debo, though. You never know. I'm serious, man.
I think he had the same thoughts as us about it. I don't think it was a direct shot on him.
Hey, you just never know with Debo. Hey, Debo different.
Okay.
He wired a little off. You know, it's kind of like that wire. He's got that short, and he got it's just is this gonna burn? Is it gonna spark? Is it gonna work? You just never know.
He has subtly made a lot of headlines over the past year.
All right, something to see. You just never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my dog though, man. Shout out to Debo, bro. All right. So, was that it for JuJu?
Yeah.
That was it for JuJu, man. Shout out to JuJu though, man. All right. So now we get to come to the fun part. And I'm a little sad. Right here.
Sure.
Because this was going to be the part where, while we're on our live show,
we're
able to big up the members, the channel subscribers, the ones who are really like down. Because, you got like your homies and it's like, yo, this is my homie right here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And this is for the upper room members. We're going to be obviously taking some of their questions that I had asked them in the chat, well, specifically for the members only, so that's why the rest of the channel couldn't see it. But I asked them, I said, hey, man, since y'all are members, we like to give you guys special perks. And some of the perks are, if you have certain topics that you want discussed, we're going to talk about it. So we, like I said, I went in there, asked them specifically, and they came up with some actually pretty cool topics, man. So we're going to answer some of these things, man, to end this show. And then this is something that we'll probably continue to do, especially throughout the off-season time frame. So that's why it's one of them things, man. Join the upper room and you get more extra content, extra access, stuff like this, man. So without further ado, we got to talk about Mason and Dwayne Haskins. Now, this was brought up by Vincent Murray and Juicebox32. Shout out to both of those members right there. But they wanted to know, just in terms of that matchup, what we expect from them from a preseason standpoint. Who do we think emerges between those two guys? So for me, man, I'm excited about this matchup from both sides. Honestly, man, we always talk about Mason to start it off. So I'm going to start with Dwayne Haskins so that way I can remember to get his first, because I never talk about him. I don't know why, but every time we get to talk about the quarterback, I always go Mason Dobbs. Never get Haskins. I'm like, dang. So I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to start with Haskins today. Sure. Okay. So with Haskins, man, I'm excited about him more so because of the pedigree, the intrigue, right? We talk about him being a first-round quarterback from 2 years ago. Obviously, the situation in Washington wasn't the best for various reasons. Some were on him, some were on the organization. We're not going to say that he was completely innocent in that whole situation there, but as a whole, it just wasn't the best for him. It wasn't the situation that was going to be most productive for him. And obviously it showed, but he flashed, right? He had some moments where he looked good, some moments where he looked bad. As a whole, though, I do think that him in a stable situation is going to be beneficial for him. I do think him being here where he's behind Ben Roethlisberger and not having to be viewed as the savior, I think that benefits him. Whereas in Washington, you think about it, he was drafted there to be the guy.
Hometown too.
Hometown. So you got the hometown. You got to be the guy. Then, newsflash, year 2, we're going to change the regime on you. While going through a name change, while going through scandals and all this other type of stuff, right?
Well, dude, the first regime, all the reports came out like Jay Gruden didn't want to draft him either. So that plays into what you're saying where, dude, you're getting put in a really bad situation. Yes. They didn't have the best skill position players either. I know McLaurin's pretty good, but who else was there outside of that?
McLaurin was young when he came in.
Yeah, he had a good rookie season, but I don't think they had anyone else. They just got Gibson last year and a couple of those other secondary receivers.
Wasn't that the same year where, was it Darius Geist? They had to cut him like randomly before the season. So he got in trouble, right?
Yeah,
he had got in trouble right before the season, so they ended up cutting him.
I think it was AP. I think it was AP, yeah.
So
still putting up like 800-900 yards.
Crazy, right? Yeah. But when you think about that situation, it wasn't the best. Any young quarterback would struggle in there. I mean, you would have to be just on some crazy type of good luck going for that, all those things to be going on, and you still be able to thrive and flourish on the field. So to me, I know some people are split and some people feel like, man, it's done. He's a bum. It's over. I laugh because I'm just like, for you to feel like you have that type of evaluation off of that small of a sample size, I just find it hard to believe based on my knowledge and what I've been able to see as well. So that part, I'm just like, I do think that we're going to see an improved version. But the reason why I'm also intrigued about this matchup is because that was from Haskins' standpoint. With Mason took steps. We talked about that, right? We said just based on what we saw last year and how he handled the adversity of the Cowboys game, right? Wasn't his best performance, but he went in there, he did what he needed to do. But then you saw him come back in week 17, right? To end the regular season against the Browns, a Browns team that was playing to win. They had to win. Remember that. We were already good.
We had a couple starters out too.
Yeah, we were good. They were playing because they had to win that game. And we saw how Mason was doing his thing, stretched the field, had the offense looking young. I mean, we talked about that. We were like, whoa, like we haven't seen the offense look this dynamic and stretching the field in a while. To the point where people even asked, man, could Mason be the guy next week in the wild card? You know, I mean, we saw that. It was legitimate. It was real. So seeing that, I'm just like, dang, I'm ready to see if that's real. Is week 17 Mason? Is that the real Mason?
Week 16 Jets in 2019. Yeah, as well.
Is that the real Mason, or is it the guy that came in the Cowboys game? Is it the guy that started those games, 2 years ago when Ben went down? Because if that's what Mason is, I'm cool on that Mason. But if the Mason that showed up, like you said, in the Jets game at the end of the season, and in the Browns game at the end of the season, if it's that Mason, man, this could get interesting. This could get really interesting in terms of him versus Dwayne Haskins versus Josh Dobbs, man.
I agree. And they said whenever we signed Haskins, I think this came directly from Colbert, we had really high grades on Haskins for that draft. We also had really high grades on Mason Rudolph as well. So with Mason up to this point, we've seen him in a favorable situation for a young quarterback. And we saw what he did in 2019. And outside of that Browns game with the 4 picks,
he still was fine.
Game manager. The upside we thought was low. Where it's just like, we know what he is.
He should be Garoppolo.
Yeah, career backup.
Jared Goff type situation, but more than likely, you said backup.
But after we see that Jets game, after we see that Browns game, now we're starting to think, is there a little bit something more there? So I think that's why it's interesting. Now we got Haskins, who I think careers up to this point has definitely had a lesser career than Mason Rudolph, but he's been in a little bit worse situation. And like you said, some of it's on him, some of it's on the organization, the situation he was put in. But you could see the upside there, though, with him. He's definitely got a cannon. Bro. I think now you could attest this or rebuttal this one way or another. It just seems like his footwork's off a little bit sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. So,
but he the natural arm talent's definitely there.
So for me, obviously, I did a film breakdown for him when we first signed him, and you could just go check on the channel. Just type in Dwayne Haskins film sesh Master Moats. It pops up. But the things that I initially took away from him, I agree with you 100% about his arm. I thought that he could make any throw that he wanted to, downfield, short, intermediate, cannon. Footwork highly inconsistent though. And that's where you get a ton of his turnovers. His footwork at times is atrocious. You're just like, when you're watching him throw on the run, he's throwing off the wrong foot, he's backpedaling, throwing off of the back foot, jumping in the air to throw the ball. It's those type of things that he has to clean up to be more consistent. That's the thing that separates your elite quarterbacks, their footwork. Look at Ben's footwork. He's always in the proper throwing stance, right? He's always transferring the balance of power with his feet when he's throwing, getting his hips in and things like that. Whereas you look at Haskins, sometimes he does it, and when he does it, it looks beautiful. But then you see when he does it and you're like, the ball is sailing, easy interception. And when it comes off, you look at it and you're like, well, dang, does he not know how to read coverage? And I'm like, no, this is cover 3. He's throwing to this route right here. That's the exact, if you're drawing it up on paper, QB 101, this is exactly where you're supposed to throw this ball. The problem is it sells on him, and that's why it looks like he's throwing deep. Whereas if he just puts his feet in the ground and plants and drives the ball, this is a 20-yard completion right here. A lot of his turnovers look like that, though. And then the narrative of, well, he's slow as heck, he can't run. I mean, you cut the tape on.
That's not true. But he looks awkward at some points, but whenever he gets outside the pocket for a scramble, he looks pretty good.
That's the part but that's the part where I always can tell, like, if you're watching the tape on him, and that's why I always say, like, watching games versus watching a highlight. You could watch a highlight and be like, well, this dude's slow. He can't run. No, he can't.
Maybe that's what it is. Do you think it's the footwork in the pocket then that makes it look awkward? That's
but
probably
then
what it is.
If you actually like
straight line speed, he's pretty fast.
Him straight line, he's outrunning linebackers. He outruns DNs, and you're just like, if y'all are saying he this slow, he shouldn't be able to outrun this guy. And no offense to Ben, right? But we know Ben at this stage is a lot slower than what he was early on.
Yeah.
Ben isn't outrunning people, right? Ben, he can scramble. Like we saw the Giants game where he had like a 13-yard run.
I think it was Texans. I think it was second or third week for the first down.
He had the longer run than Saquon. He had more rushing yards than Saquon. I remember that for a fact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had it was like a 13-yard scramble. And we were laughing because it was like, oh, he did it. But
I remember that, yeah.
But like, that's how people talk about Dwayne Haskins. And it's like, dude, you watch Dwayne run when he's running. He is way faster than that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's the part where I was like, you're not going to get that just watching a highlight. You got to watch like the games to see that part of it because it's not glamorous, but it just shows, he can do that if he needs to. He can do that if he needs to, but consistency is going to be the big thing with him. So if he can be consistent with the footwork, if he can be consistent with the reads and stuff like that, I feel like he'll be fine. I don't think the reads are as bad as the footwork. I feel like the footwork is what makes everything else look bad. The footwork is what makes everything else go downhill for him, man.
Do you think it's that quick of a fix that we would see it this offseason?
That's I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I could say yes. I just don't know because I haven't had a chance to see like the work ethic because I know some like if you only listen to Washington, then all the reports are bad, right? But it's like you don't make it through, Ohio State if you have this terrible work ethic. If you're not a guy that's going to grind.
I was watching something. Like everyone was saying throughout high school and college, he had the best work ethic. He would have receivers stay afterwards. Mm-hmm. I wonder how much of it had to do with him getting signed with Washington and Jay Gruden not wanting him. Because then it's like he might be thinking, no matter how much work I put in, this dude still doesn't want me starting.
And that's a bad situation. When you're drafted first round and your coach said, well, I don't really want this guy. Like, before we even meet, like our energy's going to be off. Every day we come to work, we're going to have an issue because I already know you've publicly made it clear that you did not want me here. So every day I'm looking at you some type of way. Not saying that that's how Haskins is, but I know that's how my energy would be. Yeah. And that would definitely affect you. Like I've been in a situation like that where, granted, the coach he made it clear to me that he didn't want me, but he didn't have to go publicly. But from then on, it's like even when I'm playing well, like bro, don't come in here and tell me good job, pat me on my back. Like nah, like I'm cool. So like seriously, man.
But that's the weird part. It seemed like Rivera gave him every chance this year, and he seemed in the offseason from what everyone was saying.
See, you said that he gave him every chance. I personally didn't feel like that because who was the first person that Ron Rivera signed?
Oh, interesting. Alex Smith.
No.
Oh, who are you talking about? Allen.
He brought in Cal Allen.
Right.
They already knew Alex Smith. They were hoping that he could come back, but he brought in Cal Allen, who was this guy from Carolina.
What I mean is because I guess Haskins did impress Rivera in the offseason. He ended up starting the season.
Yeah.
But then there are some reports, and this is the thing, can you believe everything you're hearing out of Washington is that kind of he let up in his work ethic a little bit, and that's when things started slipping.
Because what year was it where they got mad?
So I don't know, man.
He led the comeback win, and it was signing autographs or something like that with the people in the stands. They got pissed. Was that last year?
I think it was.
Yeah, so
he said something too about
bro.
I think he lost to the Ravens. He threw for 300 yards.
Yeah.
And he was like my stats look good or something like that.
So
there's a bunch of mixed reports out there, but I mean the work ethic is there from a bunch of people that followed him in high school and college for sure.
So like I said,
that's the interesting thing.
If the work ethic is what it's supposed to be, and he buys into really focusing on his footwork part, I do think that we can see improvement by the time training camp gets here. But if that doesn't improve, then I think he'll still be wildly inconsistent from a passing standpoint. That's the bigger issue, though, man. Because, like I said, he can make the throws. The arm is there. The touch is there on these passes as well. The footwork is what's killing him, though.
Should the goal be for the backup spot then, as opposed to making the roster?
If I'm him, yeah. If I'm him, I'm trying to be the number 2 quarterback.
Okay.
Like, that's got to be the mindset. Because you know who 7 is. You know 7 is going to be the guy, regardless of how he plays, we know he's going to be out there. So you're competing for that 2 spot because there's no guarantee that you're going to make it as a 3. When you become the 3, they're going to say, well, who costs more? What about years, future? It's a lot more things that go into that decision. Whereas if you're the number 2 guy, they don't care about any of that. They trust you. They feel like, man, if this guy goes down, you're next in line. You can win his games. So if you're Dwayne, that has to be your mentality. That has to be what you're striving for. But to me, the way he gets that is by improving his footwork. That's the big thing. You just cut the tape on his footwork. Footwork. That's the difference in him right now versus some of these other guys.
Yeah, I was curious because since he's a first-round pick, you're right. I guess that 3rd quarterback spot's not necessarily a given. But if he does improve the footwork, where it's at least pretty decent in this offseason, maybe it's not still up to Mason at that QB2 spot, he could be worthwhile to keep on the roster still as that upside play for who knows, maybe next year, depending on what Ben decides.
Yeah, but the reason why I just said it's a little bit different with him, because, like, for example, if Dobbs is your 3rd quarterback, right? You could put Dobbs on your practice squad, and he'll probably sit on that practice squad. You'll probably be fine with him being on the practice squad, and everything will work out good. Do you think Dwayne Haskins will be able to sit on the practice squad? Like, that's the difference when I think about that.
He'd want another opportunity, probably.
You see what I mean? Like, because typically that's your 3rd quarterback. Even if he is on the active roster, he's still doing the practice squad stuff. So it's like, is Haskins gonna want to do that, or is he gonna feel like, man, I'm a 1st-round quarterback, I'm on my 2nd leg, I gotta get somewhere where I can make the most of it? Because we saw it. I mean, Josh Rosen, he was on a practice squad last year in Tampa. Think about how quick it's done went for him, man. So Haskins, he's kind of
new quarterbacks coming out every year.
Absolutely,
Josh Rosen, man, like he's forgotten about.
So Haskins, let's be real. Haskins in Pittsburgh is Rosen in Miami. That's what this is for Haskins. Now Haskins, difference is for Rosen had Fitzpatrick, so he was going to get an opportunity. You're behind Ben. Probably not going to get an opportunity like that barring injury. So you're going to have to really light it up in the preseason. That's going to be the difference for him compared to Rosen. But you saw once Rosen didn't do what he was supposed to do in Miami, practice squad in New Orleans, and now it's like, where is he? What's going on with him right now? You see what I mean?
Clue. Yeah.
So for Haskins, man, improve the footwork, baby. You got to improve it, man.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting, the quarterback competition.
And actually, man, this actually ties into the next question that we had. This is from Jesus Pacheco. Make sure I said that right. Shout out to you, Jesus. But he says, do you think Haskins is the future for the Steelers at quarterback? Now, he doesn't say when that future is, not saying that it's this year, next year, whenever, but he says, do you think that Dwayne Haskins could potentially be the future quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, or the future answer at quarterback?
You want to go first?
I'll let you go first. I know you love your quarterbacks, man. And I made sure the caveat is so that way you don't have to say, well, Ben. Because I said we don't know when it is. So
sure, yeah. I sound like a broken record doing that anyway. Appreciate you doing that. I think it's just pending off this offseason, this preseason. If he could, I don't know if it necessarily has to be beating out Mason. I think it could be just improving, but like you said, I don't know if we keep that quarterback 3 on the roster. Yeah. What does that mean for Dobbs? Because this could, like, if Ben stays for an extra 2 or 3 more years, like, that could be the better chance for Haskins as opposed to Mason. Because I think Mason, probably after this year, did we sign an extension for him, though?
1 year.
Is it just for this year? Or is it the year following, though?
Well, hold on. Was he, because this one, John Lincoln, was he currently under contract going into this season?
That's what I mean.
He would have been under contract, yeah. So this would have just been an additional year, essentially a 5th year for him. You know what I mean?
Because you got to be thinking at this point in his career, how many seasons is he in the NFL?
This is 4 now, right?
4.
Yeah, because he had the rookie year, then he started this 2nd year, then he set last year, and now this would be 4 right here.
He's probably chomping at the bit. I'm not saying Haskins doesn't want to start too. They both should want to start, but I think at this point in their careers, Haskins coming off being cut by Washington and almost being like, hey, we're going to see what we could do here in Pittsburgh, see if you could live up to this potential. Whereas like Mason, he's pretty set as a backup spot. He started games, obviously not up to par with most starters in the league, but we saw those last 2 games where it's like there may be some upside there. I think he's probably wanting to start sooner rather than later, whereas Haskins, it could benefit him more
to sit for a little bit.
Sit for like a year or two. You know what I mean?
You know somebody that it did benefit. Now, granted, they haven't come back and necessarily be the starter. Well, actually, no. Two guys, actually, now that I think about it, kind of different, but kind of similar. I think of RG3. So you remember RG3, now he started out crazy hot right after Rookie of the Year, but then he got hurt, kind of disappeared for a little bit. Then he popped up in Cleveland. Now he's been in Baltimore for the past couple of years, right? Kind of worked out for him in terms of just finding somewhere where you're not the guy anymore, but you can still come in and be consistent and just be that number 2 guy, right? But then we've also seen a guy like Nick Foles, right? He's another example of, you see where, all right, the situation worked out for him. Man, it was perfect. He actually led a team. What, didn't lead them like the whole way, but obviously postseason wise, he led Philly, got the ring. We obviously remember when he was the starter under Chip Kelly, right? Was able to get a Pro Bowl under his belt. But since then, we know what he is. He's like, man, a high end number 2. If he needs to start, he can win you some games, but we kind of know what he is. Dwayne Haskins, right now, like that's kind of where he should be looking for, you know what I mean, in terms of like a bounce back, because I think both of those guys have done it. Now, one, like I said, has consistently been a backup in terms of RG3, whereas at least Nick Foles, he's played well enough to at least continue to get starting opportunities. Dwayne, you're kind of going to be in that same boat. At least with those two guys, they did get Pro Bowls under their belts or Rookie of the Years under their belts. But for Haskins, that's got to be what he's looking at. Like, man, okay, how did that model work for those guys who came in, expectations fell off a little bit? How did they respond? What did they do? This could be that situation from coming to Pittsburgh behind a guy like Ben, where you really don't have the pressure of coming in. And even if he does come in, he's still not going to have the pressure, because it's like, you're not 7. So
yeah, we didn't spend a first round pick on you. That was another team.
Nor did we say we had a first round grade on you. Whereas remember with Mason, that was the big issue. If they would have never said they had a first round grade on Mason, none of us would have put those expectations on him. But as soon as you announced that Ben is done for the year, you said we're not worried because Mason, we had a first round grade.
Yeah, we didn't even try trading for Fitzpatrick. I don't know who else was out there, but there was a couple guys we probably could have signed.
We traded for the other Fitzpatrick, Minka, and it was like, whoa. Like,
we should have done a combo deal probably.
We just straight doubled down on Mason, first round grade, went safety for a first rounder. It's like, dog, what are we doing? So I think all of that also played into the Mason standpoint too, from expectations. Whereas with Haskins, he's not going to have to deal with none of that.
Yeah. So are you with me? Then it's just pending. We got to see how he looks a little bit.
Yeah. And I think the longer it goes, the better for him. Like you said,
if he could just stay on the roster, that's the main thing. I think either Mason or for Haskins, if they could just continue to develop. I don't know what this preseason has to look like for either one of them, but whenever Ben does decide to hang it up, there should be a competition between either them two, or if we draft a guy. I think that's what it is. You just give him a shot at least.
No, man, I think Haskins is going to be in the conversation. In terms of this preseason, does he have to beat out Mason? That should be his goal. But I don't think that has to necessarily happen for him to make the roster. I think if he's showing the improvement that we're talking about, especially with footwork, I think just him being in the system is going to help him out. And then
he's still young too. I think is he 23?
23.
I think he's 23.
Yeah, 23, 24.
He came out after redshirt sophomore year.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, recently who have we seen go through something similar? Jameis Winston, right? Go sit behind Drew Brees. Now you're going to get an opportunity. Now let's see what happens.
Because what is it? Are they doing open competition between those two, or did they announce Jameis?
They're leaning Jameis, but
which they should be.
But he obviously Tatum's going to get an opportunity. But we all know how that's going to play out in terms of who we feel is the better quarterback between those two. So if you're Dwayne Haskins, you could be saying to yourself a similar thing. All right, I'll sit this year behind 7, learn what I can, soak up this offense. If my number gets called at any point, execute, produce, but more so be playing the long game, looking for, okay, if Ben is gone next year or Ben is gone in 2 years, what do I need to do to make sure I'm in line for that opportunity?
Worst case scenario, you could still have a really successful NFL career a la RG3.
Absolutely.
Like as a backup, whatever it is. But you never know. Like you said, you never know. In 3, 4, 5 years, all you need is that one shot. And there's no doubt you have the talent. If you could just work on some of those things like footwork, some of those details and whatnot.
Yeah, because like some people don't have the talent. That's when it's alarming. With him, it's like, bro, you have everything. And for the people, like I said, that talk about your reads, like, no, you make good reads. you have bad footwork. It's not consistent, and that makes some of your throws sail on you or go short. And then it's just like, bro, what are you doing? Now, we're not saying that he doesn't have a bad read here or there, but every quarterback is a bad read. We talked about that with Seven at times, where it's like, you don't have to force that in there, regardless of what you thought or what you were looking at. That's just not a good throw. We've talked about that with him. We talked about that with numerous quarterbacks. So that's the other thing, right? Because people feel like, oh, if we could just point out one or two plays where it was a bad read, that means he can't read. It's like, no, that's not the case either. But as a whole, the footwork part, footwork for him, man.
So yeah, we're just thinking he could get a shot.
Yeah, he'll have a shot to be in the future
if he could stay on the roster. Yeah, he's continue to improve. Play. That's who knows? I think we're not writing it off anyway.
Play the long game though. Play the long game. All right, but shout out to you, Jesus, for that question. All right, this next one is from Dylan Smith. Now, this is a two-parter here. So first, Dylan was just asking about the estimated cap going up, right? And how the Steelers are estimated to have 70 plus million. That is accurate. Now, they're not going to have the full 70. I think it's around 65 million is what they're estimated to have in additional cap space, because the cap is supposed to go up to 192.5 million, and the Steelers will currently have 127 million on the books. So it'll be roughly around like 65, a little bit over, 65, close to 66 million available, barring some type of restructure or crazy release, right? So from a money standpoint, the Steelers will be in a way better situation cap-wise next year than they were this year. Remember, this year, they had like $4 million available to them at one point. Whereas, like I said, at minimum right now, they're looking at 65 million plus.
Yeah, they could probably figure some way, too, if they really wanted to get it up to like 80, 90 maybe.
Absolutely. So they're going to have a ton more money available to them. Now, the next part of the question was, how much of that does he think, or do we think that TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick could potentially eat up with their new deals? Before we get to their money, other guys that we're going to have to worry about as well: Joe Hayden, David DeCastro, JuJu Smith-Schuster.
These guys are going to be free agents.
Chooks Okorafor, James Washington, potentially Mason Rudolph, because that would then be the contract year for him as well. Remember, with the new 1 year that they added on. So those are guys that are also going to be, these are starters or key contributors or guys that we definitely, need in some sports, and definitely in terms of Joe Hayden and David DeCastro. Shoot, Chooks and JuJu. Yeah, I mean, that's four starters
Edmonds.
Right there.
Edmonds too.
I forgot Edmonds, because they didn't pick up the option. So he's another guy that's in that conversation. So
I got Ebron and Ben too.
Yeah. I didn't even put Ben because I just figured Ben is like the outlier right now. But you're right. He's definitely it, because if he comes back, that's going to count. That's going to count. Now with Ebron, so he's another guy that's going to be in that conversation. So it's a ton of players where some of these guys are going to get paid. We talk about TJ and Minkah. We know those are big check guys. But even if Ben comes back, Ben is a big money guy. Like, think about, like, for example, 14 that he's playing for this year, right? That's super low end for him. We talked about the amount of guys that are going to be making more than him, and it's just laughter, like some of these guys, because they're bums compared to Ben, right? But for 7, that's a 1 year thing. We know, man, when you talk about that cap being 192 and 65 million plus, he's not coming back for no 14 no more. That was for this year. So that number is going to go up as well. So it's a lot that's going to eat up this. But with TJ and Minkah, based on the market for those guys, right? Joey Bosa, 27 million per year. Myles Garrett, 25 million per year.
Joey's 27.
Joey's at 27. Joey's at 27. Myles Garrett is at 25.
That's a bad one for the Chargers.
And then Khalil Mack is at 23.5. So TJ, when he signs his deal, it's gonna read highest defensive player in NFL history. We know that, or he's gonna be in that conversation.
Is that what you're
right?
thinking? You're not thinking hometown discount.
Listen, I was trying to find Donald. I said Donald's not in the conversation for highest paid right now. So TJ is going to reset it. TJ is going to get the new label of highest paid. So I'm anticipating, I put 27 plus.
I put 22. I put that hometown discount on there.
Oh, all right. Let's hope for it then, right? But worst case, if Myles got 25, he's not going under 25.
I understand.
Yeah.
I have that hometown discount.
Yeah. So let's see. 20 hometown discount is 25 to me. I think he's gonna go for 28, 29, just based on the market. If Joey is at 27, when we get to comparing those two players, Joey Bosa versus TJ Watt, you compare the numbers, you compare the impact, you compare one's in defensive player of the year category back to back year, like it's different, you know. So that part where
I can't believe they paid him 27. The first player I looked at was Garrett, just because I thought his was the highest.
Yeah, trust me. When I saw his deal, when Miles got his deal done and Joey got his done, I forgot. I think I was with I was on the 97 The Fan. I remember we was laughing. We was like, yo, TJ is somewhere just laughing right now because he's gonna. This is gonna be. It's insane, bro. Like, yeah. And you got to think, Miles signed his deal. Was that last year or the year before? Joey was a year ago, so it's right in line. It's not even like they just signed it this year, and that's where the new market is set. It's like, no, this is a year ago, so it's gonna increase.
Bump it up $1 million or $2 million for inflation.
Man. Absolutely. So that part is going to be interesting. Now, I don't think. Well, this is the part too. So in terms of how much it could eat up in terms of next year's cap, they have flexibility, but it's going to be.
What would you do with these?
This is the thing.
Backload them.
No, I mean, if you're T, you're not taking a backloaded contract. Not at all. These type of guys we talking about, TJ and Minka, no. Backloaded contracts, that's a nah. They ain't having that conversation. But the way it would work is like this. You can do it where, since you're going to have a lot more cash available, signing bonus. You hit these guys with, let's see, TJ will be in year 5. So you hit TJ with 20. Let's see, if he's going to have 28 per year, right? Or 29 million per year average, right? We know year 2, year 3, there's nothing we can do about it. You're going to be stuck with the big cap hit just based on the salary, right? But what you do is this big bonus. So if I can give TJ a $20 million signing bonus, I can spread that hit on that signing bonus out for the next like year or two. So it's not going to count 20 million for this year. It could be, okay, we're only going to count, or excuse me, the 8 million base salary would count, right? Because we say if he's going to have a 28.
But you would do it for year 2 and year 3. So maybe we could get some of these guys back.
Exactly. So the way you would have it is the 8 million base salary is going to count, and then say you wanted 4 mil from that signing bonus to count this year. So now only 12 mil is going to count on the cap for TJ in 2022, right? Going into 2021 season, right? Or no. After this season, so it'll be 2022 when he would get when that money would finally hit or whatever, right? So that's when it would hit. So you would do that and just spread it out with different bonuses: workout bonus, off-season bonus here, bonus there. So he's still going to get his money. He's still going to have his $28-29 million per year average, but it's just sliced up differently. And you could get in a situation kind of like Ben's where, all right, because not like Ben's, because Ben's is more restructured element, but if it gets to the point where at the end of it, the cap hit on him is already going to be at this level, it's because of the signing bonus and how they've already pushed it through. And that's what we're saying with Ben. Remember, we were like, well, even though Ben's base salary wasn't high, because he already had signing bonus money, he already had this money guaranteed to him and already had it paid, and they just spread it out like that. That was ultimately why it was like, dude, we're kind of in a bind because he's going to count for this much off rip just based on what he's already accounted for. So that's the part with TJ that you could have to worry about. But with TJ being younger, you don't anticipate TJ play falling down on this contract. If we're talking 2 contracts from now, different conversation. Like the Cam Hayward contract, different, right? We're like, well, yeah, you ball out this year, maybe you start to decline second year and then third year. All right, whatever happens, happens. With TJ on this deal, you expect him to dominate this the whole way through. So I don't feel like it's as big a need to worry about, well, man, what if that cap hit goes up, his play goes down? We just don't think that's going to happen with TJ.
Okay. So what do you got for Minka then?
Now with Minka, Justin Simmons, he just got the new market set with 15 mil per year. Now Budda Baker, he signed his extension a year ago with 14.75. Him and Eddie Jackson with the Chicago Bears at 14.6. So Minka, he's going to be right in that range. I feel like he could reset the market 15, 16, because when I think of him versus Justin Simmons and Eddie Jackson, I think that he's the better player, more productive, accolades and stuff like that. Budda, though, can make a case because obviously Budda has the All-Pro. He has some of the similar accolades, but they're very different though in terms of Budda is more honey badger, whereas Minka is more of like an Ed Reed, true traditional middle field safety. You know what I mean? So that part you could make a case for Minka to get paid more than Buddha as well. But I just think that Minka's going to be in that $15-16 million range, man.
So with TJ's, we still haven't heard anything about this big contract yet. Isn't that supposed to be happening this offseason?
So the team has said that they're going to get it done, but there just haven't been a ton of like just conversations about it. I don't know if that's just both parties doing a good job of keeping it, between them two. We saw that obviously with JJ Watt and how he did his whole free agency. That could be a family trait. We don't know, but they have made it clear that they do want to get his deal done this offseason. Now,
what would he be playing on? Would he be playing on like $9 million or $10 million this year?
Option, yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking. Then for Minka, the $10 million next year, like I'm assuming they're gonna get both of these deals done in these off seasons, right?
Yeah. So the thing that you could potentially see with both of those guys, though, and I still don't feel like it plays out like this, but you could see it where I just don't feel like it's going to happen. I was going to say where you have TJ play on the 5th year this year, and then when the cap finally takes like that big boost, then you give him the mega deal, or you kind of do it like the credit card version, right? We signed the mega deal this year, even though we don't have that cash. We know we're going to get that cash next year. Then when it finally hits, now we're good. So that's another thing that you could do with them. But with Minka, you could do something similar. You could come to Minka and say, well, look, man, we're going to give you an extension where this first year is only going to pay you what you would have got on your 5th year option. But the following years after that, once we finally get this big boost in the cap, that's when your money is going to just skyrocket. Like you can see that as well.
And then you could put the signing bonus on that year 2, year 3, just like you were talking about with TJ's.
Yeah, so even though they would still technically get a ton of money this year, it wouldn't count until next year, just based on how they could disperse the salary cap and how it would count against it.
But yeah, if you could keep that 5th year option, like salary cap for us, that would be helpful at least.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge value then.
Oh, absolutely. But you can see though, like I said, even with the additional 60 plus mil that we're looking at having next offseason, you still have a ton of key people that we're going to have to talk about bringing back. I mean, when you brought up Ben and Ebron, I didn't even think about, from that standpoint, but you're absolutely right. Ben coming back, so that's why when you talk about the signing bonus trick that I was kind of displaying right there, you can only do it so many times, right? Because let's think, if TJ's doing that and TJ's going to account for 10 or however low we can get that while we do his version, then we do Minka's version, then we do Ben's version, then we do Ebron's version. Like eventually it still is going to add up. And that's the other part of it. So like I said, the
Ebron part of it will be interesting. The Ebron part of it will be interesting depending on how Pat plays or how, you know what I mean? And I guess even Joe at this point in his career,
now
we got a lot of young cornerbacks right now too. Not saying we want to just write that off completely, but we'll see where we're at.
We shall see, man. We shall see. All right, so next
we have one more.
Yes, we have our last one. Yeah. This one is from Moneybags. Shout out to Moneybags with the 2 Moneybag signs at the end, maybe. Yes, indeed. And this was a fun one because he asked, this was kind of off topic.
Dude, this one's a tough one.
It is, bro. So he says, with Marquise Pouncey retiring, who is going to fill that new captain spot? So Pouncey has been one of our captains for
rookie season.
I was going to say a decade.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when he was named captain.
Like, I know he was the captain every year I was here from 14 on. Him and Ben were the offensive guys. Defensively for us, let's see, Troy, Cam, ton of Cam.
Who is it now on defense? Cam and who else?
Was it Cam? It wasn't Cam and Vince. Was it Cam and Joe?
I don't know.
Might have been Cam and
I have
Joe.
no clue.
But it's always been Cam defensively because typically, it hasn't always been 2 defensive guys. It's always been, we've had 2 offensive captains, 1 defensive captain.
Oh, is that what it is?
And then we'd have a special teams captain, but most of the time the special teams guy was a defensive guy. So like Robert Golden, Jordan Dangerfield. I think the one year we had Rosie Nix.
Oh, TJ got it last year.
TJ, okay,
so
perfect.
it was Ben Pouncey, Cam, and TJ.
Okay.
Jordan Dangerfield last year.
So from an offensive standpoint, funny thing, man, I said, bro, I think it could be Zach Banner. Because like you talk about new contract, natural leader, and he gets the guys together. Like he's the guy where now, I mean, he's been posting about it on social media where he's, all right, man, we're getting all the guys together. All right, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna be bonding. We're doing that. So when I think of captains,
that's a good call.
That's what I think of because like people will probably say DeCastro solely based on his play, but knowing DeCastro personally, being in the locker room, DeCastro is not that like, I'm going to be the leader. I want to be out front. Let me be vocal. Let me come look at me. Like, that's not his thing. Like, honestly, I feel like they would vote for DeCastro, and DeCastro, God honest truth, would be like, hey, yo, I don't want to be the captain. Don't vote me. Like, that's his energy. And we would all be like, all right, respect it. Like, but we've all done it. Like, I got voted to be the player rep for like the NFLPA stuff. And I was like, I don't want it. I'm good. Like, certain players just like, yo, that's just not what they want to do. So with DeCastro, I'm like, I can see DeCastro doing that. So that's why, even though I feel like it would make the most sense because of who he is, just knowing his temperament, like, I can see him turning it down. Be like, yo, don't vote for me. Whereas Banner's going to embrace that. Banner would want that energy. Then another guy that I had, I said JuJu, bro.
That's what I said too. Yep.
JuJu, I mean, let's be real. It's a young team from a skill position standpoint. He's the alpha dog there. He's the most consistent. He's had the most productivity. He's the fan favorite. He's not afraid to be in front of people. Like, that's his energy. I feel like he's the other prime candidate. If it's not Banner, it's JuJu. The only reason I was a little bit hesitant on JuJu is because the perception around the TikTok stuff last year, in terms of once it got out there and he continued, remember he was like, yo, he kept going, that part could have potentially rubbed some people wrong. So you just never know how they would view that. But as a whole, I'm like, JuJu could definitely be another guy, man.
But that's what I'm thinking. If he's named captain, you're assuming that would be turning a new leaf. He wouldn't be thinking about that stuff, right?
You would hope.
Just think of how he's been talking about coming back to Pittsburgh and playing for the Steelers. It seems like he's really bought in to this like team mentality, this group all-togetherness.
But see, this is the only thing I don't like.
All right.
When we say it like that, it makes it come off like he wasn't bought into the team and all that beforehand, and that wasn't the case.
You're right.
He's always been. I just feel like,
but now he'd be the head of that. He'd be facilitating that and all that, right?
True, but I just think because of the social media stuff, right? People try to paint it as more like he's just off doing his own thing. I think he just likes to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, not the selfish element, just the fun part. So that's why I'm like, I can see him, man. Dude's definitely rocking with him as the captain. No, but he still keeps that energy. Like, I don't think we would see a non-fun version of JuJu if he were to, like, because when we say like turnover renewal, it makes it sound like, well, now he's going to be this like 30-year-old veteran. Yeah. Like, nah, I think he's still going to be JuJu though.
I agree, but I think you maybe, because we agree, like those videos, there was less team involved in his thinking with some of them. But now I think any of that type of stuff, he would have to think of a team. If he's going to be the captain, he would have to think, like, how would some of this stuff...
You just said in the interview, he was talking about brand. He was talking about team, talking about brand.
But that could be part of it, though. Like, captain of the team. Like, that's... I mean, it is. It's just kind of like that next step,
But what do you think would be bigger for his brand? JuJu being JuJu or JuJu being team captain? I feel like JuJu being JuJu is bigger for his brand than JuJu just being the team captain and going into this shell of...
I agree with you. I don't think he's necessarily going into a shell, but I think there will be a more thought out process of like, how will this stuff that we do, that we're having fun, how would this negatively affect the team?
I don't think
if he's the captain.
You think he's gonna think about that?
That's what I'm saying. If you're named the captain,
see, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he would though. I think you could still be captain and still like he's gonna be JuJu. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think he can still be an effective captain.
Well, what stuff are you talking about? Because the only stuff I'm thinking of is dancing on the logos. Like, that's everything else was outside of that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I thought the dancing, that's got to be the one off, right? Other than that, I'm saying like JuJu being JuJu though, the dancing, the video, like he's gonna do that. But the pregame logo, so I don't think he's doing that anymore. Nah. But what I'm saying is like, I just feel like it comes off that when we talk about JuJu being this more like calculated, reserved, thinking of this, like that's gonna equate to not what we're accustomed to seeing with JuJu. I think that we're gonna see everything except the logo dancing still with JuJu if he is captain. I just think that that's who he is. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Well, I kind of agree with you on that. I guess I'm just thinking of now like him looking out for the other players on the team and almost maybe giving that wisdom of like, learn from my experience of some of this stuff. Let's watch for this. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, he could. If I'm him, I'm gonna hit him with go to the big captain. You get that from 7. 7 is the OG captain. I'm the new captain. Let me show you my way.
Yeah, how would that look? Like, how would you? Is Banner your number one pick then?
I feel like he is, but I don't know. I mean, I'm more of a Ju. I would prefer Ju just because JuJu has been here longer. JuJu has handled the spotlight a lot longer as well. But Banner, I think Banner would probably be the better leader, if that makes sense. I think what you talk about when you're seeing, man, thinking more and being more, all right, what can I do to motivate, or what does this do for this player? Banner has shown me that.
Okay.
That's what I get from Zach. I feel like he's shown that growth. He's shown that change. Whereas when I feel like with JuJu still reminds me of JuJu from when he first got here. Like, he just doesn't ride the bike, but he's still JuJu. He's still like the fun-loving kid. Like, that's who he is. So I just don't.
You don't think being named captain, like, he would develop some of that stuff?
I feel like he would try, but I don't think it would be natural for him.
Okay.
That's my thing. Whereas with Banner, it just comes off more natural.
What would that be then? Calling team meetings, bringing people together, motivating people?
I mean, it's a mix of everything. Like, when you're the leader, when you're the captain, man, sometimes it doesn't have to be a formal thing. Sometimes it's just you seeing some players just struggling. Need a little boost, need a little, hey, man, let me talk to you, bro. I got you.
I think JuJu would be good at that, right?
I think he could as well. But that's why I have him in there as a nominee for it. I think that he can definitely do that. I just wonder how...
If that would be a top priority for him.
Well, not even for him, but just... If you're on a team and JuJu is the captain, as a player, what is your perspective of JuJu? Are you a younger player and you're kind of like, yo, I like this vibe, this is cool? Or are you an older player and you're kind of like, bro, I want a ball. Like, I don't care about all this social. I don't care about brands. I just want to win a championship. Like, that is what I'm trying to figure, like, because not everybody's going to be the same with that, you know? So that part plays into it. Whereas with Banner, you don't really have that. Like, Banner's a big personality, right? But you don't really have a lot of off field or a lot of just antics with him, right? You don't have to worry about, okay, it's the dancing. All right. Well, was it a tweet? Okay. Was it something he said while he was gaming? Like, you don't have to worry about that with Banner. So that's what I'm saying. Like, where him, it feels more of the natural, smoother transition for him to grow into that role because he's already been showing those things. Whereas with JuJu, I feel like he can do it and get the job done. But I just wonder, is it him? Is it going to be the perception from the team? Like, it's just, I feel like a lot more variables surrounding JuJu compared to Zach. So that's kind of what I'm alluding to. But I think
Zach's
both
a
of those
good one.
guys
I didn't really think of him. Yeah, Zach's a good one. Could we be calling for a rookie? Harris. Honestly, dude, I mean. Dude.
Well, didn't he say he's not looking to lead though, right? He said he's on his own lane, doing his own thing, man.
Yeah, I think that's
because they asked him in rookie minicamp. Yeah, he's like, are you the leader of the team? He's like, nah, that's not my job. Like, he's like, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm trying to stand out because I always stand out. But he said, I can't be the leader. I'm waiting for the vets to get here. When the vets get here, I just fall in line. It's something like how you alluded to it. So yeah,
with him being a rookie, yeah, mm-hmm. I get what he's saying there, but
like, it's like,
I think he could be a leader.
I just think it's different, bro. Like, rookie quarterback, yes, because you have to command the offense. You have to be the alpha. Every time you speak, everybody has to shut up and listen. Running back, it's not the same.
Okay,
it's a little different, slightly different. Now he could, because he is an older running back, right? He's not a 21-year-old. You know, he is a grown up. So that part, I mean, he's going to be older than some of the guys he's in the huddle with. So that part, potentially, yes. And obviously the pedigree, him being a first rounder, him coming from Alabama, all of that stuff could play into it. But it's just super tough, man. Not even TJ was a captain as a rookie. And TJ was one of the most polished, pro-ready rookies I've ever seen, offensively or defensively. Like, TJ came in and it was just, dude, you don't have to talk to this dude. Like, he has it. He understands it day in and day out. And even he wasn't a captain. You know what I mean? Wasn't even in the conversation for it. So that's why I'm just kind of like, with Najee, like, is he going to be best case like how TJ was? Because even with that, like I said, TJ wasn't even thought of in that vein. So
the offense is an interesting one.
It is, though,
because there isn't just one guy that sticks out like, oh, he should take it. Because the other receivers, Claypool, Deontay, Harris, we got these new dudes on the offensive line. Ebron.
I was like, Ebron, nah. Then I was like, oh, Benny Snell, nah. Jalen, nah. Because that's the other thing. It's like, you're not going to be the captain if you're like an offense or defense captain, if you're a bubble guy, or you might not even dress guy. Like, nah, we ain't doing that. So you imagine that?
Yeah, because I thought to Castro immediately, but then you hit it right off the bat, I was like, okay, then definitely no DeCastro, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, would he even want to be captain? I haven't even heard him speak ever.
Hey, bro, DeCastro hit you with the what? Get out of here. Leave me alone. I'm just going to block. Is it power or dive? That's all I care about right now. Like,
so those are probably the top two between JuJu and Banner. I mean, those make probably the most 2 cents. Maybe Dotson.
Well, I mean, but that would mean that he beat out your boy Najee. Because they both young.
For the captain.
Yeah, they both young.
Either one's fine.
How old is Dotson? Is Najee older than Dotson?
Huh? Ooh.
Because Najee about to be 20. He's 23, about to be 24.
I think he's going to be 24 before the season.
I'm about to say, geez.
Let's see. He's no. We're good. Actually, he's 23.
Okay.
Yeah. Is Javonte Williams? He's 21. Is that what it was?
He was super young. That's what it was.
Hold on, let me see. He's just turned 21. 23 is not bad, actually. That's not bad then.
Stop it.
23 years old as a rookie?
It's not bad, but we're saying like it's running back we're talking about. It's difference. We're not talking about just rookie. We're talking running back. 23 at running back. In year one.
What was Jonathan Taylor last year, though?
I don't know. Who cares?
He was
not with us, man.
I know, but he was probably. Did he probably have the best rookie running back season? Oh, geez, he's young. 22. Oh man, he was 21 last year.
All right, next.
He turned 22 January 19th.
Look for J.K. Dobbins. Maybe J.K.'s older. Maybe that'll be the guy you're looking for, man.
Okay, hold on. 22.
All right, hold on. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let's go to Clyde. Check out Clyde.
He's going to be young, right?
Check out Clyde, man. Come on, Clyde. What you got for me, baby?
He's definitely going to be young. 22. That was April 11th, so just turned 22.
Oh, man.
Who else was good last year? Rookie running backs, Gibson, James Robinson. I just typed in Gibson. We got guitars popping up.
All type of guitars and baseball, probably.
He's 22. He's going to be 23. He just, June 23rd. He's turning 23. Yeah. James Robinson.
Which is not looking good.
He's going to be turning 23.
All right, what about...
So Harris is older than all the rookie running backs from last year.
Yo! Hold on. What about... Yeah, because I'm trying to think that was everyone.
Who am I missing?
That's what I'm trying to think. Did Dallas... No, nobody was young in Dallas. Seattle, no.
Cam Akers.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking at. I was like, is it
He's going to be 22.
All right. It happens. It's all good. See, I like it better when we don't research.
Is there anyone else?
If we would have never researched his name, we could have just rolled with it. Like, he's definitely older than Taylor. Heck yeah. Taylor's 25 years old, man.
You know what? I'm not worried about it because those were college hits that Harris was taking last year.
Talk about it.
These were NFL hits that these dudes were taking.
Exactly. That's how you spin it. We're not worried about it at all.
Yeah, and Harris was like splitting time his first couple years too. It wasn't exactly, like that.
Bro. Come on, man. Besides, I mean, we only need him for 5 years. We don't care about the rest. We know that shelf life, boy. This ain't no long-term relationship. Nah, we here for a good time, not a long time. All right, it's that simple. We looking for a hot weekend in Vegas. We not looking for a commitment. We not looking for no holy matrimony with Najee. Come on, man. It's all good though. As long as we're on the same terms going in, as long as it's communicated that way, everything works out fine.
We didn't look up Dotson though. Yeah, Dotson is 20. Dotson's gonna be 25.
No wonder he was so good last year. There's a grown man out there.
Yeah.
God.
He's 24, September 18th.
That's
his birthday.
The cheat code, bro. He was 20. Come on, bro. We over here I'm thinking Dotson 22 and a half. Dotson a grown man. Dotson probably got kids your age, man. Jeez. That's dope. I ain't
So Dotson could be captain.
He could definitely be. He might be older than Banner. How old is Banner?
Oh, Banner's. I want to say
25. You said Dotson's 25, right?
He's gonna turn 25. He's 24 right now. He's gonna turn 25 for the season.
All right, let's see what we got.
Banner, what's your get? I think he's
what, 26?
He might be 27.
26, 27 probably. Let's see what we looking like.
27. He'll be 27 for the season.
Okay. I think that's it then.
Banner's a good call, probably.
Yeah, I think Banner. But Dotson the dark horse now. Not only he's 25, man.
What if Banner doesn't win the job though? Still captain? Can you still do that?
Who is he losing to? He doesn't have competition at right tackle. Competition's at left tackle.
Oh yeah, I keep on thinking. I keep on thinking we're gonna sign Moses.
Oh yeah. Well, if we do that, then yeah. Well, if we do
Moses
that,
will be captain.
We'll say Morgan Moses will be the captain if we sign him. But yeah, if we don't sign him, then it's probably gonna be better.
Yeah, I guess I just assumed we were bringing him in. I don't know why.
I wish, man. Was it one of your dreams? You know, you got those dreams.
Nah, nothing happened.
Where you stimulated mentally?
Yeah, nothing happened.
You know, little meadows and rose petals and butterflies floating around.
Dude, how about this though? The Richard Sherman news. We were on top of that like 2 weeks before all this stuff come. You seeing this?
Yep.
I paid attention to Stephen A's interview. I don't know how this stuff randomly comes out.
I was glad. I said, yeah, we were ahead of it. We already had
way
this
ahead
conversation.
Of this. And it's just like all these Steeler accounts copying each other. It's just it's one account, and then everyone just posts the Richard Sherman stuff.
Seriously,
I was like, wait, is this new news? No, this is the same exact quote I looked at.
I was sitting here thinking it was new, and I'm like, bro, we literally just had this conversation. Like even on my radio show I had to do on Saturday. I was over here, I'm talking Richard Sherman. I'm like, I literally have already said this. Like, and they were like, this is new. Like, this is crazy, bro.
Yeah,
crazy.
Stephen A dropped that episode like 2 weeks ago.
Tune in, man. Y'all not tapped in. Either to Stephen A or to us, one or the other, but tap in. But anywho, I think that was it for all the fan questions though, man, for the members of the Upper Room. So shout out to y'all. Also, Soul Florida Still 777, Coach Cower, and Juicebox 32. I did get your questions as well. We just wanted to table those for different parts, different days, because obviously some of the list type of stuff, we talked about that. We just feel like, it'd be better for another day. But we didn't forget y'all. Trust me on that. But either way, man, I appreciate the content, man. Appreciate y'all, in terms of responding and answering or asking these questions for us to answer for y'all specifically, man. Absolutely, man. So keep up the good work, members of the Upper Room. And if you're not in the Upper Room, just join the Upper Room and then you get these same type of perks. So it's all good, man. But with that being said, baby, that is it. So
yeah, that was good.
I had a blast, man.
Definitely.
Good.
Unfortunate,
man.
Yeah, unfortunate not live, but still was good.
Hey, man.
Good podcast.
Listen, man. Sometimes you got to go back to the projects, man. Sometimes you got to go back to that stairwell where it smells like urine, roaches and rats, gunshots outside, cop cars. Sometimes you need that, man. Sometimes you got to go back to where you can't go to that street. You got to stay on this street. Sometimes you need that, man. It happens. And we got that gutter feel today. Smells a little urine-y in here. Might have been me, but either way, it doesn't matter, all right? I can't confirm or deny that. But either way, it's been a blast. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. And until next time, baby.
Peace.